Let's call this meeting to order. We all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome aboard, Councilman Reed.
I was just getting ready to text you.
Glad I can make it.
And Monitor, can we get a roll call of our members present, please?
Councilmember Jensen?
It is here.
Councilmember Graham?
Here.
Councilmember Conover?
Present.
Councilmember Witt?
I am here.
Councilmember Paparad?
Here.
Councilmember Biggs?
Here.
Councilmember Reed?
Here.
7 present.
Okay, we've got our second reading today. Before we get started on that, the auditor was kind enough to leave me a message today with a couple of changes, and I'd ask that she report that to the body. If you would, Vicki, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, prior to this morning, the general fund budget totals that you have in your packet came to $43 million. That included Council on Aging and Family and Youth Services Bureau. And the reason why I included that is because the commissioners originally turned in a hospital interest budget that did not include that $1 million. However, this morning, I received a nice little envelope under my door with 3 new commissioner budgets. Basically, what the commissioners proposed is cutting their general fund health insurance appropriation back down to the level it was this year, $4.2 million. Restoring the health insurance funding in the seated budget of $1.3 million, and restoring the hospital interest health insurance line item to the level that it was last year, also moving the social service agencies back into hospital interest. So basically, a repeat of what happened this year, what you guys worked so hard on, getting that $9 million total appropriation last year for this year. So that really dramatically changed the general fund, and right now, and we updated that, along with some other departments that changed their budgets also today.
Who else changed their budget today? Can you tell me?
If I mention one, I'll probably forget the other ones, so. We have it highlighted, so right now, the general fund total comes to $37.3 million.
Okay, let me ask you.
Except the commissioners' changes.
Let me ask you this question, and this is going to be probably a silly question, maybe. So as it stands with the commissioners' proposed budgets that you received today, first of all, do we have copies of the revised budgets, Joy?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you get us copies of the revised budgets, Joy? With respect to insurance, how much then are they allocating, are asking us to allocate toward insurance?
In their general fund budget, 4.2.
Okay. In
their non-general, in hospital interest and seated, the same levels as this year, 1.327 in seated, 1.324 in hospital interest.
Say that again. Okay. 4.2 out of general fund.
Correct.
Go to the next one.
Seated, $1,327,000.
Okay.
And out of hospital interest, $1,324,000.
Okay.
And that total is?
$7 million?
6.
Well, I have the grand total, because the non-general fund departments that pay into health insurance, like plan commission, health department, they add up to about $2 million. So the grand total comes out to $8.9 million. Exactly, or pretty much close to what it was last year.
Okay. And I know I got an email a month ago that indicated that we were running a little bit better on our insurance outlay than we had the year prior, and I know that this is just a hot topic and a moving target, but do we know how we're doing now? Do you have any idea, Vicki, on how we're...
Yes. As of today, the claims that have been paid out total, I'm going to round it up, $6.4 million.
No? Okay.
In all of last year, the claims totaled $12.2 million. So we are doing better. About $2 million to the positive.
Okay. So far, but that can change. That can change quickly, but so far, okay. Okay. gives you kind of an idea where we're starting from.
So go to the top of your spreadsheet again. Where are we as we stand?
37 million,
Okay.
Our goal is 37,300,000?
Yeah,
60.
yeah. We've been really looking at all the revenue and projected expenditures and the numbers that we're working on right now, which are probably on the conservative side, but right now, I feel comfortable saying 37.3 million for the general fund, which is an increase over this year's.
how much of an increase?
About 800,000. Yeah, about 800,000. I'm sorry, I'll get that exact number, since these numbers changed quite a bit. Can the general fund support higher? I know I mentioned 37.5 earlier. It's possible. I'm just worried that the state, if we go up any much higher than 37.3, 37.4, the state might recommend cuts, just based on our projected revenues, based on our projected,
So you're comfortable with us trying to get a goal of 37,300,000?
yes.
What would we advertise, 42?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, no, we advertise.
Is it oh yes or oh no?
Yeah.
No.
In the general fund, we advertise,
43, 210.
43.
Okay.
So Vicki, in essence, what you're saying is that the difference between this projected budget, or this proposed total, from what it was a week ago, is due to the requested amounts in the insurance with the commissioners.
That was the...
And social services.
Largest, yes,
Right.
and social services. Because originally, they turned in a hospital interest budget of 0, and you need to see what they
Okay,
submitted.
hold on. So now that we don't have that amended budget, which concerns me, but, because we need that.
We updated the spreadsheet.
Okay, when we take a break, I want a copy of that.
Yes.
All right. So how much per their amended budget, then total are coming out of hospital interest, are they asking to come out of hospital interest? Social services, some?
Correct.
And then, none for, no. Some insurance, too?
Yes.
Is it 1.3?
Yes.
All right, so, tell me the total.
For hospital interest?
Yeah.
2.4 million.
Between social services and how much do we have in hospital interest right now?
Okay, you'll have to look that up.
Same as last year?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how much is in there? Yeah, it's the same as last
It's
year.
about 5
I guess.
million, but we'll look it up.
How much, about 5 million?
We'll get that.
And,
Yeah, 5.8 million right now.
but we're taking some out of this each month to get us through this year? Or are we done taking out of this?
The only remaining appropriation out of hospital interest that we have left is the health insurance book.
And how much is that?
1.3?
No.
It's about, 700,000 left to
Yeah.
take.
Okay.
600,000 left to take.
About 6.5.
All right, so I'll take us
We're
down.
going to be taking the next quarter really soon, like within the next week.
So 5 million is a nice round number.
All right, and then, with respect to the remainder, the seated, so they're proposing 1.3 and change out of seated for insurance. How much is in there? How much do we have of that? We're burning that up. Scott?
I guess my question would be, since we don't have it in front of us, is the 1.3 out of seated, how much of that is dipping into our reserve seated as opposed to the regular budgeted seated that we're getting?
Well, that's good, yeah, that's gonna be, I was assuming all unallocated, but maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, this year's seated budget total 6.7.
Yeah.
We're only getting in revenue 4.7. So the remainder of that is eating into...
That's what I wanna know. All right, so that's the question. So when we go on break or beforehand, if you could get us that,
Yes.
a handle on that.
Yeah, can I suggest it, why don't we do that now? I mean, we're talking about all these different numbers and...
Yeah, good idea.
Why don't we have the most current information in front of us
Okay.
as we talk about it?
Well, how long will it take you to get it? Some of these don't really.
Their proposed seated, assuming Everything else stayed the same. They only submitted the change in the section that was in health insurance. Total of $7.2 million, 7.27, right? That would be their budget.
That's their budget, and they're bringing in 4.8.
And we know we're gonna get 4.8 in revenue next year. So how much will we have left over at the end of this year? We don't know
Not
yet.
enough to cover that.
But if they spend down their entire budget this year that you appropriated, they'll have 1.7 million at the end of this year. So,
Well,
real quick math here,
maybe.
I'm showing 6.5 million in total revenue in CEDAT next year. Will they spend down their entire budget? Probably not. But we don't know yet.
Okay,
Could one of,
all right.
Get those figures,
Pardon me?
Dan,
get those latest figures.
Mr. Whitten,
Yes, sir.
could one of Vicky's people go back and make all these numbers up and restart?
Yeah, good, we'll get going here, but, because not all these things in front of us are general fund budgets, we might as well start, we can come back to the general fund ones as we move along. But, Vicki, if you could get us those things, those numbers, those amended budgets, that would be great.
Oh, the amended budget.
Yeah, I mean, we should have those things, because as we're plowing through this, we need to have an idea of what reserve funds we're proposing to tap into and how they're running.
Yeah. July 1st was the deadline for departments to submit budgets.
How many of them failed in that endeavor?
Oh,
We had a number coming through, like today. Today, I didn't know should we even
Alright.
change the budget,
Well,
but
I don't know.
that's what the commissioners are proposing.
Okay. All right, so get those for us if you would, so we can kind of plow forward. Let's start with 911 general fund. Is there anything in there that we need to? Good evening. Good evening, how are you?
well,
Good.
Welcome. You're the first one, huh? Yeah. Here we go.
It's good, the money won't all be gone by the time you get up in front of us then.
Personal services went up. More people or?
Yeah, why are your salaries up?
We're in the general fund, correct?
Yeah.
1031.
So my salary should have been in,
Yeah, these salaries are on surcharge. But a few years ago, you guys moved FICA and PERF from their surcharge or rainy day fund over to the general fund. And CJ and I talked about this, why don't we treat E911 just like every other department that has FICA and PERF paid for? We move it into the big FICA and PERF line item. So, and he agrees with that, there's no reason to keep the general fund, those line items, because we pay for it out of the general fund. So we move that to the commissioner's line item.
Wait a minute. So, Matt, let me make sure I understand this. So, on 1031, the 2015 had $130,000 for FICA, 1210, and the proposal is $135. So, you're increasing FICA, you're increasing PERF. So, tell me again, those things just, why are those higher?
They're tied to payroll.
Yeah.
So did you put in raises in your other budget?
no, I did not put any raises on.
Did they raise FICA or PERF?
No, FICA and PERF stayed, that percentage stayed the same,
Well, why is the,
current year.
okay. So, why the increase? Were we short last year, or was there?
You can't be short, you gotta pay it.
When we Vicki, when we discussed this the other day, you projected that I was gonna be short.
Yeah, I'm actually projecting that the real numbers should
For
be
next
a little
year.
bit higher, yes.
Why is that?
Based on their full-time salary line item, their hourly and their overtime. I think maybe it was under budgeted last year.
How is it going to be, how are we running for this year?
Let's pull that up.
And we're probably fine this year. We've had some turnover, and so we've had some gaps and not been fully staffed. So I would imagine that we're probably, if if we were under budgeted for this year,
Right.
we're gonna make that up this year.
This 2015 year you're talking about?
Current, this current year,
Okay.
yes.
So you were understaffed last year. You were projecting to fill those positions this year.
Yeah, but if you're running shorter,
We've had some turnover this current 2015 year.
Okay.
If she's projecting that my numbers are a little bit off, short, we should probably make that up this current 2015 year. I don't foresee having to probably come in
an additional?
for an additional anymore this year.
When you say you're understaffed, you don't have...
We've had turnover.
But I mean, so that means everybody else works overtime? You don't have empty seats, you just have everybody else working overtime or whatever?
Oh, correct. We've done some creative scheduling, and we've got built-in minimum staffing for our day and our night shifts. We've lowered that one person to kind of eliminate a little bit of overtime.
Has service suffered by not being...
My folks are tired. I don't think that services has suffered.
What is our average shift? Is anybody working doubles?
All right, before we go, yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, and maybe I misunderstood this, but, so we're looking at a proposed 2016 FICA 135,000, PERF 195,000, but did you say you're moving that to the commissioner's budget?
Yeah.
Then why are we...
Zero.
Yeah, and why is there anything in here?
You know, it was, in 2014, you moved this into the general fund, and it just stayed there. It is better for us if we just have FICA and PERF paid out of one line item.
Out of the commissioner's budget? So why is it... Yeah, why we...
Yeah, it might be helpful, it's not on our screen.
Yeah.
Kind of throws you off.
Okay.
All right. So if we do that, what does it become for...
Zero for his general fund budget,
yeah.
unless he wants to add something to the general fund budget.
What is in the rainy day? Do you have any left in there? Well, isn't that the reason, not a terrible memory, but isn't that the reason we moved stuff into a general fund, to create a general fund, because some of these other rainy day was gonna run out?
Right.
As long as we possibly could.
So you're proposing to continue 165.6 of overtime out of your rainy day fund. How much is in the rainy day fund now?
Currently, $142,000.
So you're proposing more than is in there?
So we're all talking the same language. That overtime in rainy day is actually a part of their salary. So back in up through and including 2011, they were on 8-hour shifts.
Okay.
Coming into 2012, we shifted to 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
A 12-hour shift has built-in overtime every other week. They work 4 extra hours every other week. The dispatchers agreed to take essentially a pay cut on their hourly rate to make that up in that 4-hour overtime that they work every. So essentially, typically a 12-hour schedule is going to cost more money.
Right.
Because you're working 4 hours overtime every other week.
Right.
They agreed to take a pay cut hourly, knowing that 4 hours was going to make that up.
When did that happen? When did that pay cut occur?
For the 2012 budget.
How much is in that, so how much are we using out of that rainy day fund?
TJ and I talked about this, we're estimating roughly, if the spending continues, to 1186, but remember they have a...
We'll bring it up on the screen first before we talk about conversations. Let's see what we're looking at.
Roughly 65,000
Per,
you'll have left over in that budget.
so starting the year, how much was in there?
Yes, sir.
We had, I show 265,000.
At the start of the year?
Carried over from 2014.
292.
That was a little more. That's 292?
So we'll show.
Beginning balance 291, 493 and 34 cents. And so we've burned up, so your proposal, or your thought, Vicki, is that at the end of this year, they're going to be down to 65,000. They've burned 220-some thousand out of that rainy day fund for the year? And has that all been this overtime part of the salaries thing?
That's the only line.
Then what's changing for 2016?
Well, the other thing that's in there, the other line item that is in the rainy day is data processing
I'm sorry.
equipment.
Correct.
And how much is that?
It was budgeted this year at 75,000.
100 for next year.
And what that purchases is all of our,
Okay.
all of our computer printers and our servers and...
And that's yearly. You need that money for data processing equipment yearly?
For incidentals, if we have something break.
How's this fund going to get funded?
Well, it's not.
You're thinking
I mean, this was part of it. It's done in 2 years. So we have to move some of this over to the general fund. If we're moving all that other stuff over to the commissioners, we gotta move this, your overtime and this stuff into the general fund to sustain that. We wanted something in the general fund to fund this out of a sustainable fund.
Because at least part of this is in fixed salaries. So it's not like it's going to go away, or it's not like we can cut back on hourly. It's part of the salary.
Okay, so I guess my question is, as we sit here today, your proposal, at least on paper, is to have out of the rainy day fund, $265,600 of stuff, salaries and capital outlay, data processing, but there's no thought as to where that money's coming from. Am I understanding that?
This has been talked about for quite a number of
The
years.
better part of 4 years.
Yes.
We knew that this day was going to come to fruition. It had to.
So, I guess my question, back to my question, so when you proposed this budget, were there any conversations with the commissioners, or did they have any particular plan as to how to fund the rainy day fund, or there was none of that? Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
So, well, here we are.
Yeah, so let's get on down to...
The budget and rainy day, once it's out of money, it's out of money, and we'll close that fund. And then,
So you're projecting 65,000, why don't we just put it in the data processing and move the overtime over to the general fund, since we're moving all the general fund, the FICA and PERF into the commissioners. And if you run out of...
And that's good, and I don't disagree with that, but we have to keep in mind that we have a target number for our general fund hit that's right on, we have to look for cuts to make it up elsewhere.
How is the 911 fee money?
okay,
Because that's the biggest share. Is there any extra floating around in there?
Good question, Ron.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I believe we have a balance that we carry over the year.
Yeah, it'll move forward. Yeah.
Is that what I have to...
571,000, is that?
There you go.
Are we in the surcharge?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the charge.
Beginning balance, though.
Well, yeah, but how much did they carry over from last year?
That's about what I had in my head was about our carryover.
600,000?
The
500.
$500,000 there.
So you're carrying over $500,000. I think that we're gonna be part of it's gonna have to come out of there. However you wanna slice the pie. Some of this is data processing after we run the rainy day down or whatever.
And that can be done with surcharge money carefully. We have to be careful how we spend that. That's why we pretty much put salary.
Is there restrictions on how the surcharge is spent?
Yeah.
What's it spent for?
Well, I don't have the law in front of me, but...
Well, I'd like to see the copy of the law.
Scott, what can surcharge be used for?
Equipment purchases.
Have to look.
Not people?
Training.
Not
Nope.
people?
Not people, we have nothing but people.
No, I think it could be
salary.
unless the law's been changed, because I knew when they passed the law, they could only be used for technology and training.
They had to change it. That's all we're paying out of surcharge.
That's what we're...
Okay, maybe they've changed it, I'm not aware of that.
So we can't put people in.
Okay, so I guess what we want to do here is figure out this general fund budget, because we do have 40 budgets,
Yeah.
and we're on the first one at a half hour. So,
Well, I'll make a motion that the 1031 goes to zero, because that's getting transferred to the general fund. That's my first motion.
Second first goes to the commissioner's
Yes.
second first line item.
Second.
All right, so raise that.
And I'm proposing we use 2015's numbers. The 320, 336.
May I say something about that? When we get farther through the budget process, there's a lot of people asking for raises. What we're going to do is we're going to run the totals, and we'll see what really is needed in FICA.
yeah, we'll go back. He said he wants to use last year's, yes, 320, 336 is his request, so that's what we'll go by. We will revisit that, we do that every year.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool.
So,
It may have to be adjusted if the raises are higher or something.
zero in second first.
That's my motion.
Second. What is the motion? To zero out?
Well, transfer it all to the general fund, but transfer the 320, 336 number, 2015's numbers, not the proposed numbers. And zero out the budget.
CJ, I have another
When
question.
you said transfer to the general, this is general fund too, though, isn't it?
No.
Yes, yes, it is.
Well, the line item, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it's a lateral movement.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now cut. We're just-
Yeah, I guess you
No,
know.
so it doesn't, that doesn't hurt us.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
And now, no, all right.
So far, it's still at zero.
Okay.
Just moved it
That's what I'm saying. All right, great. So let's move on to
Sorry,
the,
Mr. Whitten,
that's okay.
I wasn't clear.
All right, that's fine. Clear as mine.
He's not sorry.
I don't think he was sorry. So we have a motion and a second to zero out 1031. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? All right, that takes care of that. Moving right along. Surcharge.
I just want to go.
So we have the surcharge, which is also up just a shade. Training ed, you're wanting to increase? Why is that?
We've implemented, in short, protocol questions for fire and police. We've been mandated by the state for medical. Where we have set questions we ask for our medical calls. We've implemented fire and similar protocols, but for fire-related incidents and police-related incidents. And as a result of that, we go from a required 24 hours of continuing education training to 48 hours of continuing ed.
How are you going to do with your training and ed budget this year? Are you spending it all? Have you been spending it all?
Close. Yeah.
What's your pleasure on this one?
I guess I wanted to go ahead.
You want to what, Karen?
Quality assurance manager, that salary went up from 38,655 to 42,250.
That's what it is currently this year.
42?
It's the 42, okay. Because it's indicating current year is the 38,655.
Yeah, that's what's already been approved. Approved last year.
That's from last year that was approved? Okay.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing you say, just for clarification, you have taken on, the county has taken on the expense of the firemen and the policemen. Educating, is that what,
No.
what were you saying about?
So, when we receive a phone call, a 911 call,
Right.
relative to a medical condition, the state long ago mandated that we implement a set of questions that we ask relative to that condition. Wanting to provide a better service, we have implemented the similar idea, but in police-related calls that we receive and fire-related calls that we receive, we'll have a set
Okay, so it's your crew that you're,
questions that we ask
okay.
the caller the person who's called 911. So we're a little more standardized, I guess.
And what, it changes the dispatch, who you're dispatching out, or?
Doesn't change necessarily who we're dispatching, but, you know, we will have, instead of having potentially 43 different questions that my dispatchers ask, they're all asking a standard set of questions.
Okay.
And to maintain that certification.
So that's his only change for his budget. What's your pleasure with this one?
Move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion on this
We're
one?
doing 1773.04?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, that's, the discussion, I guess, that's fine, but we're gonna get to the rainy day, and, I mean, we can approve this now, but like Bob's question, the next one is, we're gonna have to shift stuff out of the rainy day and move it into the general fund or the surcharge.
Right, with the,
So, before we take a vote, I mean, that's just, we're voting on this, but we're gonna have to move some money.
How much is in the surcharge fund now? You mean, you burning up?
He runs $500,000 extra,
Yeah.
it seemed like. He carried over $500,000, round numbers.
Pull up that fund. That budget, yeah.
That was what was brought in so far this year in revenue, 1.183. Now it's the budget. Remember, we had to go through streams because this was that system where you have to go in and out.
Are you dancing?
Yes. 571,446 is the balance right now.
He ends the year usually around $500,000.
Well, it doesn't look like that's gonna happen.
Yeah, you're spending a little over $100,000 a month, except September.
We're only
Well,
halfway down here.
September's not
but
over.
we also get monthly
Right.
disbursements.
I see you're running the balance.
So credits by month, debits by month. You're burning about 20-some thousand a month on average, in excess of what you bring in. Is that correct? With the exception of January. Is that what we're looking at here?
Yeah.
Well, isn't debits and credits reversed?
No, credits is what's coming in, debit's going out.
No, we get 147,805 a month.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott, you're right, I'm sorry, I'm back.
All right.
So
So you're picking up 20,000.
So we're picking up the 20.
20,000, okay.
Yeah, we're
We
getting
got room.
20.
So we got room in that budget to move.
So
We
the
got some room.
proposed for 2016 is 1.73. What we receive is around 1.773. So there's a little bit.
Okay, so my suggestion would be to move the rainy day fund proposals into the surcharge fund.
I would make a motion to that effect.
I'll second it to get the discussion.
All right, let's get the discussion.
Is the rainy day, are these numbers good for next year, and next year the rainy day will run out? I mean, are we a year ahead of ourselves, that's what I'm saying.
I think we're about out of it.
I think we're only gonna have $65,000 at the end of this year, if they spend everything.
Okay, so we'll have 65,000 at the end of this year.
At the end of this year.
So that's
So
why-
we could budget somewhere between 60, 65 for next year, and the rest has gotta get moved into another
Okay.
budget.
Okay.
We just left the data processing in there at 65, and then if you run out of that, when that rainy day runs out, you come in for an additional, I mean, with the data processing. We'll have to do something with, it's the overtime.
Can I ask some more questions?
Yes.
$165,000 in overtime. Doesn't that dictate more full-time, or?
Well, I think what he indicated, this is the number that he indicated that he's using for his 12-hour shifts.
Well, I agree,
So I don't think it's truly,
but is it, I mean, and realize I got a whole bunch of employees working, I always look at, if you're paying that much in overtime, is it time to hire 3 more people, or whatever the number is? That's all I'm saying.
yeah, but I think what you're almost required, so what you're asking him to do then is to go away from 12-hour shifts and shoot down to 8-hour shifts?
No.
Because that's why he's incurring this number, is because he's gone
I
12
agree,
hours.
but that's because they're working 48 hours. They can also work 36 hours if you have 12-hour shifts. I actually have people that do that, they work 4-3.
You must be a great guy to work for, Papa.
They're
It's
actually,
called workforce development.
Yeah, okay.
they're actually working 77 hours.
I gotta get me an application.
They work 33 one week and 77, or, excuse me, 44 the other.
So they're not working 80.
How do you do 12-hour shifts with 33 hours? I'm sorry, I guess I need the crayons.
Yeah, it works out.
Because 3 times 12 is 36. I mean, that's
true, I gotta agree with you on that one.
I guess I'm being obtuse.
All right, so,
When did you guys move to this, 12 hours?
2012?
Starting 2012.
And again, what was the discussion with the previous director, that it was saving money, was breaking even when you moved to this because you can hold the staffing level and the money would be the same? Why?
Well, the staffing level wasn't the same. In 2012, if you remember, that's when they brought in eight new dispatchers. That's when everything changed.
Right.
That's when they had to tighten up, get creative, think out of the box, whatever you want to call it, and change the hours. That's when it all happened.
So, back to the question, so,
The hours were killing, working 8 hours. They worked 1 week of days, then switched to work a week of afternoons, and then switched to work a week of midnights, and then right back to days the following week.
21 turns.
And so that was
Did it for
rough,
years.
and we decided that the 12-hour shifts, you could have straight days, and you could have straight nights, everyone would work a straight shift, and it was much easier on folks.
okay.
And we were able to do that without incurring extra money.
So I hate to be redundant here, but we've got 3 budgets sitting in front of us. We know that the rainy day fund is not gonna fund all of his proposals, we gotta move it somewhere. We've just jacked the general 1031 down to 0. Surcharge will have sufficient funds, at least to the end of next year, to take on that additional hit. What do you wanna do?
We have a motion.
I know, but the motion doesn't grab all that, so let's...
Well, going back to the surcharge, I think what he said was, your budget's pretty close to the revenue you're bringing in. The reason that the carryover's staying there, because at some point in time you had a surplus, but that surplus is just staying there. If we start spending out of there, we're gonna wipe out that little surplus that you have in there.
That's correct.
Which we have used parts of that surplus on projects that were allowed by the State Board of Accounts. So we don't have to dip into county funds other places.
Yes. That's correct.
What kind of...
And I hate to be the bearer of ill tidings, but we are going to, this county has been running against reserve funds with the hope to get us to the end of next year, and with the notion that the foundation and the increased revenue is going to shore up just a shade, and then some, to interpolate into the long-term budget of lots more revenue. So we have 2 choices here. Philosophically, we say we are not going to bank against any reserve funds, and we are going to cut the living crap out of all these budgets, and then we get to some additional revenue, hopefully by June of next year, from this foundation investment, and then they say, oh gosh, we've got so much money, thank you for laying off all those people, give them a call because now we can bring them back, or we can bank against those reserve funds, get us into a situation where our increased revenue from the hospital interest interpolates into our budget, and we can run smooth. There's my view of the world. Because that's going to be the same discussion when we talk about pulling money out of the unallocated seated, and I don't mean to be facetious, but I think that's something we have to sort of come to terms with. Are we going to say, we will not budget against reserve funds and cut everybody 20%, or are we going to, or 10%? Are we going to realize that we're doing things to our foundation that are going to increase the revenue, so we have to do that?
Yeah, I think it doesn't bore, that's irresponsible. What we've been doing is budgeting on reserve funds and not utilizing income taxes that we already collect.
But we do utilize income taxes because we've been using unallocated seated funds to fund certain things that would otherwise come from the general fund.
But where we run into the problem, and I realize that, but where we run into the problem is that we're not starting the year out with a clear definition of what percentile of seated that we collect annually that we can utilize in
When I think, and here's what I think, when we get to toward the end of this root canal that we call the budget session, toward the end of the whole, series of budgets, I would like to have a discussion about the seeded projects, the seeded funds. I've already asked our auditor to pull us a claims history in each one of those funds that have been appropriated and give us sort of an outlook on expected revenue versus what's been budgeted, what's being proposed to be budgeted, and how that money's been spent. Now, what we have to be prepared to do when we do that is to look at how that money's been spent and see if we agree with the commissioners that needs to continue or not.
Yeah,
and then we can start talking.
There's no doubt that the vast majority of how they've been spending it is, they're legitimate projects.
No, I get that.
Yeah, but the question is that we've come to a line in the sand where we have to decide, do we leave CEDAT where it's at and fund new projects, or do we take some of it to help offset the funding of general operations of county government?
Or continue to take some of it, because we've already been doing that. So, and I don't mean that to be acrimonious, but we can't ignore the fact that we have been doing that, otherwise we wouldn't be able to fund government. Or at least government is, we wouldn't be able to fund social services and those sorts of things without that. And we need to do that.
Well, like I said, I think it would just be, from a county perspective.
Democrats care about the social services.
From a county
Whatever we do, it's going to, I am looking positively towards this foundation that it's not, we aren't saying maybe that rainbow at the end here, we've got another year. Vicki, don't you agree, about another year of, hopefully we get this foundation going, we'll have some money.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
This budget process still has to be belt-tightening.
No, absolutely.
All right, so back to
What I'm saying.
back to what we have
Good calculation, Dan. At this pace, we'll be here 9 hours tonight.
I'm going home to watch the Donald, and he's on at 7. So, we got okay. Here's my suggestion. This is a suggestion, mind you. We leave the general fund zeroed out, the 1031, like we did already. We move everything but $75,000 for the data processing. We leave that in the rainy day fund. We move everything else into a surcharge budget. That's my suggestion. And that, by the way, Jeremy, might very well have been your suggestion. So the fact that you're contemplating my suggestion now kind of scares me. What do you think about my suggestion, Jeremy? You still with me here? I'll take that as a no. Sylvia, you with me here?
Yeah.
All right.
I will move for that.
All right, we got a motion of,
I'll make the motion good.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
And Sylvia, you second it? Okay.
Can I still comment?
Yes, of course you can.
I'm sorry, I'm hung up on $165,000 in overtime. I'm sorry. That's.
So, can you break that down for us for...
It's easiest summed up as, from 2011 to 2012, when we moved from the 8-hour shift to the 12-hour shift, they were making, we'll just say X number of dollars. On the 8-hour shift,
They're paid hourly? They're paid hourly, right?
We've only handled one of them.
they are paid hourly. If they go off, they're not salaried, so if they go off payroll, because they've taken too many sick days, then they're not going to make that salary that we have for first-class.
They're hourly employees.
Correct.
And do we have a dollar amount attached to that? X, $20 an hour, I don't care.
Sure. They agreed to an hourly pay cut going from the 8-hour schedule to the 12-hour schedule for their straight time, knowing that they were going to be working regularly over 40 hours, 4 hours, and they would make that back up in those 4 hours through the course of the year.
It's a 36-48 schedule.
It's equal money. Its salary didn't go up from 2011 to 2012 on, except for, I believe, a couple of times we've gotten raises across the board to the county. We're talking the same salary. basically.
Okay,
That's salary. Now, I have another line item
yeah,
that is actual overtime.
that's right.
It's $45,000.
That's under hourly.
Yes. That's for if they work above their regularly scheduled days, we pull out of that. That's time and a half. That is time and a half.
Well, so is the overtime, right?
The built-in overtime.
The 165 is built-in salary part of their, of the overtime.
So Bob, are you asking him to do an 8-hour shift then, to have more bodies and less?
No, what I'm asking is,
Are you asking him to have people go under 40?
if you add these numbers together, he's at $210,000 of overtime. That's all I'm saying. If for $210,000, should you hire 4 people?
I think what he's telling you, Bob, is that you just take that,
The hourly?
the $165,000, and you add it to his salaries.
Right.
It's not overtime, it's because it's built into the salaries.
I understand it, then why isn't it in the salaries?
Because it's technically overtime.
Because what were you paying out of?
Is it a state requirement, you have to show that?
There's not enough money in surcharge to pay that $165,000.
We're getting ready to find out, because we're getting ready to move it in.
Where it's going.
There's reserve for next year,
Yeah.
that'll cover it.
Yeah.
But my income for next year won't.
That's where we're going. So,
Yeah. All right, so Bob disagrees, sounds like, I get it philosophically, he doesn't like the idea. Anybody else have any thoughts?
what we're doing is, we've been doing for years since I've been on here, 911 is running short, and it's gonna continue to run short until...
We can't shut down 911, yeah, until we get some more money coming through this county, we're gonna have to shore it up. There's not enough coming in that's going out, that's it.
And
We know it.
We had fought to kind of create a general fund for it, because because of the surcharge going down, we needed to create a general fund, but...
What are you gonna do? Okay, so there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion?
Please, the advertised amount, we took all submitted budgets and boosted them up 10% for most budgets, and we only advertised up to 1.950.
So how much of that can we move into there then? What's that leave us?
$13,000, $14,000.
Wait.
Did you intend, Dan, when you said to remove that data processing down to 75, did you intend to move that 25 into surcharge?
Oh, no.
That would be an additional, probably, most likely.
So get rid of that 25 and we made it then.
Okay, so we made it. So there's,
Okay, I'm sorry.
that's fine. Okay, well, that's great news. Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, so that takes care of those 3 budgets. Now, and here's the thing, we have if you have further questions, you want to see his breakout of how the history of the salaries have been running, we got 3rd reading on this stuff. I mean, just because we pass on a 2nd reading doesn't mean we might have to get it on a 3rd. If you have, it sounds like you have some concerns about the structure. If you have questions, get them answered. I don't disagree with your concern, I don't know that there's much we can do about that now. Okay.
Y'all good?
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 down, 37 to go. Sheriff, 10,000, 1005 general fund budget.
So this is a new budget we're being added? Now,
This is for that.
Sure, and all the other stuff we've already got.
Should be.
thanks.
Your best after January.
Okay, so this is, what? Oh, the changes that we made.
Yeah, it's that you approved last month.
Out of the user fees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're doing in order to cover that, because she didn't advertise, in order to get it, because it happened after July's turn-in,
Yeah.
is we're going to do a reduction in medical and dental and hourly house and bedding.
Out of
In order to
user.
cover that. Out of the same.
Yeah, but we're on the,
This is the...
yeah, we're on Sheriff's General Fund.
Okay.
Let's do that first, so we'll get that. Okay, you've got the Sheriff's General Fund budget, 1,005, looks like you've got some increase in here, where is it?
On the general, that would be the sheriff's salary increase.
Any other increases?
You just kidding, I got my mind on that.
That's it, that's what we approved?
Yeah, that's the, all right, so what is your pleasure with, you see the slight increase in the sheriff's salary has been interpolated as a change. What's your, yes?
Down here, if I'm looking at this right, ACO, and I see an increase there. Is that what you're talking about, the sheriff's salary increase?
No, he's not the animal control officer.
Oh, okay. I'm having a lot of confusion with the way this is set up.
Yeah, we weren't asking for any other increase.
That's just
Okay.
Sheriff's salary.
multiple by 2.
That was it.
Right. Didn't that go up?
How many animal control officers do you have?
3.
Don't get me started.
You want to talk about it?
Nope. What's your pleasure with the sheriff's,
Where's the sheriff at?
Sheriff's went up 20.
Motion to approve.
we have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second, yes.
Is the
All
sheriff?
right, discussion, Bob, do you have a question?
We were presented with the next best thing, though.
I'm happy with that.
I bet you are. Okay, the motion second on the floor, is there any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Jail, 1032, general fund, moving right along. Looks like it's the same. Is that correct?
No.
Where am I wrong? The big number.
It's the same, right?
The big number's the same.
The bottom line is,
Yeah.
some money moved around because we got rid of some part-time and hourly and cooks, and we moved it into a new kitchen company.
Oh.
So the money just got moved in order from that, since we don't have them anymore, we moved it into food and grocery.
What's your pleasure with this one?
Motion to approve.
There a motion, a second, any discussion on this or questions?
Yeah, I got it. Where's jail medical?
Seated.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's the top of your head.
Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Sheriff's Garage, 1042. Looks like the
Motion to approve.
motion's the same, right?
Yes.
There's a motion on the floor, second for discussion, good. Any discussion on this one? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
How many mechanics are in that 118, Jeff? 3. All full-time?
Yes.
You know, because there's been talk in the past about contracting that out, but, I mean, to be honest with you, 118 to work on all those vehicles for an entire year, I mean, I doubt we could do that for 118 if we contracted it out.
You do a lot of service, I mean, obviously.
A lot of service.
Well done. 1217, looks like we've made a few changes, but the bottom line's the same. Looks like you've taken some amount of food and groceries and moved it into salaries. Why is that?
Salaries are for the jail staff, jail commander and captain position.
That's a raise?
That was approved, you guys approved that earlier
Yeah.
this year.
We did.
Motion to approve.
Motion on the floor, and there's a second. Discussion? How's this fund running? How's it going? I mean, it's kind of a moving target at times, but,
It's in the general fund, but the monies get receipted in the general fund.
okay, how's the revenue
How
run?
much the revenue's bringing in, okay. Let's get to the revenue.
Because there have been times when
Yeah.
sheriffs have come in front of us and said, the 1217's drying up,
Right.
you know, and I just want to make sure we don't get in that situation.
We got an increase, I think, too, didn't we? A couple of years ago, did they get I know they petitioned for an increase.
I don't know, it varies, depends on housing and,
the federal,
federal money, federal DOC inmates.
I know, did we get an increase? I know that one time there was conversation about that.
Oh, what they get,
So we've received, is this the fund in front of us? We have received a $370,000 so far this year, is that correct?
Yes, just the federal,
Yes.
both.
That per diem rate hasn't changed.
I know they talked about one time petitioning the federal.
Say that again? Say that again, Vicki?
So far this year, it's brought in $419,485.
Okay, so it's running solid.
Yeah.
It's running good. If that ever starts,
We
I
do
mean,
check, oh, no, we do check.
yeah, if that, I'm talking to the chief here. If it ever starts changing, let us know.
I think when it, from what I understand, when Sheriff Reynolds first came in, we were housing a lot of federal prisoners, so it was a real healthy account.
Right.
When we started coming into an overcrowding issue, and they started coming down on us about our overcrowding issues, we had to pull some of those federal inmates out.
Right.
So we started losing money in this account. So
Well, I'm
at the other pod, we're
good now?
paying about 40 federal inmates.
And there was a time under Sheriff Lane, I think it might have been in his first administration, when he came to us and said, this fund is gonna go to zero. And we had things come out of it, which is kind of a problem. So, but we're good now, which is what counts. Okay, very good. We had a motion, right, in a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah, the public officials get special cells. Don't worry, you'll be taken care of. Drug Task Force, 4110, right? 4010-4110.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. State Criminal Alien Assist Program grant. We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. The grant.
Too far off for the donations.
Yeah.
So it was not, I came before you guys and asked for the increase in those donation line items, but it was not in the first of July budget, so that,
What do you ask?
to next year, or is that something that we can get in now, or how's that work?
What do you mean the donations? Out of what?
Donations I have, that I came before you guys and asked.
Oh, this?
Yeah,
No, that's,
let's see what you, I mean...
Give us out, right?
Well, this is what you gave us, sir.
You already gave us.
We're not there yet, though.
Yeah, let's.
We're not there yet. We'll get there. Yeah, we're coming. But wait, there's more. All in favor of the grant, saying approved?
Grant thing?
The escape grant? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Civil Fee Fund, 2500-2505. Down.
Second.
Why is it down?
Way down.
2505?
Yeah. Am I misreading it?
The user fee.
No.
Contractual's down on it?
Food and groceries, is
We
that?
took out, we didn't need that much, so we did
Oh.
lower a lot. It was 116 was,
Okay, but you're not moving that somewhere else?
well, we used that for the IOP program, for the inmate IOP program,
Right.
and now that we had the booking fee increase,
Okay,
that is able to cover that, so there was no need to leave that much in
I
there.
got you. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve at 209. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Just because that's 209, 328 is total.
Where'd that 328 come from? That's not what I have in front of me.
Oh, this is one of those budgets that they just revised today. They just handed out.
Ah.
We are ready for the time to print them out.
Okay.
Wow.
If we
Yeah,
ever come
so it is.
to a budget,
Okay.
a budget session, and somebody's brought you something that day, first of all, that's probably not a great thing to happen. Print them out before we start. Okay. If we have to start late, we'll start late.
Okay.
All right? It's easier to keep track of things.
So where are we at?
Okay, County Corrections, 1122.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
We'll get the question.
We'll second, go.
This is the fund that's supposed to go up after the state changed the statutes about housing more people, for lack of a better word. Is there anything on the horizon? Have you received any kind of communication, any kind of something? Community correction was supposed to go up from the state when they changed the codes.
I've not heard anything about that.
You mean the state legislators lied to us?
No, we just haven't heard about it.
Okay, that's a good answer.
And probably. But about something else, maybe. Okay, all in favor of this, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Moving right along, continuous ed.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Firearms training. Motion on the floor in a second. Exactly the same, $79,000. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Extradition.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? VINs, 1208.
Motion.
Second.
Two motions and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Very exciting. Accidents, 1101.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Donations, go for it.
So this is what we had asked, the sheriff's getting more money in to help out with different programs, sheriff's camp, K-9 program. So we had asked to increase some of those line items.
Yeah.
You guys approved to increase it up to the amount that we actually have in there that
Yes.
can cover it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the July budget that we submitted.
Oh.
So what do we need to,
So what do you want, are you proposing
We can't have it now
40,000?
because it's not advertised, but we didn't know if there was afterwards we could advertise it and get it in, or should we come back
Do additional.
next
You have to come back for an additional.
next year?
Come back?
We can do
I
that.
thought you said we can increase it so much.
Yeah,
It's only
no,
10%.
not what you're
Not the
advertising.
amount.
Well, let's start to increase it now a little bit, but...
You
We
can't,
can come back.
All right.
Not advertised.
no, not advertised.
We'll come back.
Donations, $27,000. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Public safety, data tech, 4907. That looks the same.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Videotape repo.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Photo dupes.
Motion, second, whatever. Yeah.
We have a motion and a second on the floor on photo dupes. I'm trying to abbreviate to get us out of here quicker. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
In-pro.
Inmates? In-pro.
I'll make the motion on inmate processing to get a question.
Second.
There's a second. Go for it.
Is that all go to the IOP program?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Sheriff's pension. PERF. 185,000 clams. 1193. What's your pleasure? Motion. And a second. Discussion.
Yes. Are they gonna put in a number for next year? Where's the number that I seen in the email for next year?
Vicki?
The total cost is estimated at just over $1 million for next year.
Where's that at in this budget, or any budget?
It's not in it. You do have the Sheriff Pension Trust Fund that's funded through the fee paper. You have been budgeting $185,000 every year since 2010, but it hasn't been even bringing in that revenue. So you really can't count on $185 to offset the sheriff pension.
Okay.
The rest of the sheriff pension is not budgeted.
So how are we going to pay the sheriff's pension, which is over $1 million next year?
I would like an appropriation.
But where? It has to be in this fund, doesn't it?
We're talking, Bob, you're asking about next year. Let's talk about this year.
Well, I was gonna get to this year first, but we're on next year's budget. I was gonna bring this year into it too.
For fun, Vicki, let's talk about this year. How short are we gonna be this year?
Approximately $300,000. You might remember that earlier this year, you approved an additional appropriation of $400,000.
Right.
So we're good for this year off of the appropriation that we've already done?
Yeah.
Or we're still short another $300,000?
Yes, short $300,000. We're almost out of that additional appropriation.
So it's a twofold question, really, Bob.
Yeah, where's the money coming from the rest of this year?
I guess that would be up to us.
Okay, then let's fast forward to next year. If we don't have a budget, if we don't have a line item, whatever dollar amount we're talking about, you can't pay it.
Why, Dan said we're gonna get into the seat of budget.
Yeah, here's what I want you to, as we're moving through this stuff, Vicki, let's kind of do two things. One is, let's keep an eye on what we're doing to the general fund, through any proposed or approved on second reading increases, but also, as we are contemplating things that may need to come out of unallocated seated or interest, we need to keep tabs on that. So,
Pension's one of them.
okay, so to answer your question, we're going to have to get it from some reserve funds, and that would be up to us, and let's make that decision when we get to the end of this track.
I agree wholeheartedly, but do we need to have a budget? Or we have to go back and revisit this at third reading? That's all I'm saying.
We will go back and revisit it at third reading on how to fund it, but we can't increase this budget $1 million. It's not been advertised for that.
Okay, then where is it gonna go in this big book? That's all I'm asking.
Here's what I'm saying, here's what I think. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And it may be that we have to understand that next year we're going to have, we're planning on pulling from seated so much money to fund it.
I agree, so they're gonna have to do an additional in January?
That would be the thing.
Okay. That's all I'm saying, there's no line item to, even if you wanted to say, okay, we're gonna use seated money out, there's no line item to put it in.
But we advertise high, we could potentially fit it in somewhere. We can't fit it into a shared pension trust. That just comes from your fees.
Right, it's around $7,000 to $8,000 a month. It's not near.
Because we gotta get to, you're right, Dan, we gotta get to this year first, which is about $700,000, $800,000.
Right.
And is the $1,050,000 or the $1,010,000 a real number for next year?
What'd you say, did you say $1,083,000 or something? Is that what you sent me?
Yes, that was what the
Actuaries?
administrator suggested.
Okay.
So do we need to create a line item somewhere in the sheriff's budget? Is that what Bob is suggesting?
Well-
And then when they come for an additional, we slide that money, we begin to create that line item at somewhere.
Scott?
The line item exists. The problem at this point in budgeting is whether we advertised high enough in the
So we could
sheriff's
just slide it
general
into
fund
the
budget to slide it in. But when we could go into, would we do the additional, and then from wherever we're bringing it from, depending on how we do it, we could put it there and as additional in January.
Right. We can put it in this fund in January.
Sure.
You can
Just
go
gotta
with
have,
this
just gotta have a funding source.
Yeah.
So I think that,
We just gotta find the
the
cash.
issue is we gotta figure out the funding source.
And because if the conversation is surrounding seated, what may be available in seated, I mean, that's a conversation
Prior auditor
that
could
has
have
to be
come
made
to
with
us
the Board of
and said,
Commissioners.
we need to appropriate.
Because they have to sign off
But he
on it,
didn't.
because
Well, that's what I'm saying, we
I
just,
don't know how he did it.
for the last few years, there's been no appropriation for the sheriff.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. In theory, no, not even in theory. What should have happened is, at some point during those years, we should have been advised that an additional was needed to put money into a line item, which could have been this one, and we would have known, and we would have been able to plan for that. That didn't happen, it was just somehow paid, and that was a problem. So what I'm suggesting now is, now that we know that we have been short-sheeted on that liability every year, that we need to plan to pull into this fund with sufficient funds to get us through that year.
a significant amount of money.
Yes.
What you see on your screen is last year's general fund first line item, and as you can see, nothing is budgeted, nothing was appropriated under adjusted budget, but the general fund, sure enough, did spend $800.
Yeah, we understand the misstep that happened, but we just are not going to let that happen this year.
So we should come back in January and ask for an additional.
Yes.
Out of the general fund.
Potentially. We'll know more by third reading. Stay
For
tuned.
like $1 million.
Stay tuned.
We'll have more.
Stay tuned. We'll go through that. We'll figure out which direction we're going to go.
There'll probably be an increase for next year also.
Wait a minute.
They increase every year.
Wait a minute. Bob, we did get an increase. It was supposed to be 9 to 950 this year.
It went to $1,083,000.
And it went to $1,083,000. Are you saying it's gonna be above that number?
No, that sounds about the right one, that would, yeah. Did you get that?
Yeah, that was the actuarial's number for next year.
But everybody up
I didn't
here,
know if you got it.
everybody up here, including the sheriff's department, if everything's working right, should know before budget hearings are over where that money's coming from.
Not only should, but will. So, all right, all in favor of this budget, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed. Sex offenders.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Sex and Violent Offender Administration, $17,783. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed. Inmate Health Care Fund, 1174, $23,100. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Discussion.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna disappear with the million plus.
This
Our contract.
goes out to when they have to send someone out. It's only outpatient.
not the same.
You know, if there's something they can't handle in the building, then they have to send them out, and we have to pay those fees. But they're all negotiated, and the price is not what you would normally see if you went to the hospital. It's definitely a big cut, because the company that we do have in our medical company, they price and they negotiate, and they get that price down. Because they charge some really ridiculous fees. And, you know, if you look at, you look at what the bill comes in at, you know, we've had them come.
Yeah, I gotta back the discussion up. They decide what they don't wanna do, send Johnny down to 6 and 49, and we have to pay for it.
What they're not capable of doing.
Well, they decide that though.
No, by contract, it is spelled out what they have to do.
Yeah, I was involved in all that, when we did all this. So we're paying $1 million+ a year, if something's too hard, they come to the hospital.
How much have we been spending out of this?
Right now, with the company kind of changed over to a new company, they have stopped, you know, I just got a $36,000 bill I've got to process because of, and that's almost this whole year. The rest are very minimal. The idea is, like dialysis, they can't do dialysis, and we've got an inmate on dialysis.
Where's the revenue come for this fund?
Well, there's a few that we've got some in each department, and it's not gonna be enough with as many people as we've had sick this year.
Well, I know the question has come up before, that if Johnny has health insurance, do we bill his health insurance?
We make them bill, we make the providers go after them.
Okay.
We've got a new system, and I'm not really too completely familiar with it, where we are sending someone at certain points to the hospital, and we make the hospital fill out a Medicare, Medicaid, and then we're trying to get Medicaid to pay them. If they have any type of insurance, I refuse it until we get proof that they don't have insurance, and I refuse it.
I'll make the motion.
We already have one. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Edward Byrne Grant, 8118.
Move. Second.
The motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? McClure Vehicle Fund, 4,000.
Oh, that.
Move.
With a motion is second.
Terrible.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
That was cold.
Wow.
Animal control. I just want to see the legislation, that's all. Animal control fees, $4,009, $10,000.
This is the new budget?
Yes, it's new this year.
Move.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor.
And this $10,000 is based upon the agreements already in place?
No, it's based on the amount we had in at the time that the fund started, and then some of the money was coming in. He's working on getting the other.
Yeah, this is only overtime and uniforms and supplies. It's not salaries or...
Yeah, but I think his question is more related to where's the money coming from? Not necessarily
The
where it's...
original fees that the first time we actually collected, and then never sent bills out, never collected any more money, so it hasn't gone anywhere.
But it's not indicative of the new agreements that there are with the municipalities for the animal control.
Once that comes
That's
in,
what you're really asking,
Yes.
right?
Once that starts coming in, then we can increase.
We'll come back and ask for more so we can use it.
Thank you.
I think we have a motion second on this.
Yes.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That will do it. think that's it for you guys. Have a good evening. Prosecutor, general fund, 1,008. Looks like it's almost the same.
Oh, yeah.
Not much of a change on this one. Brian, is that correct?
That is correct.
So what's your pleasure with prosecutors, general fund, 1,000? A motion?
Second.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 4D. This one looks...
Same?
Same. Move. Second.
Motion is second on the floor. I mean, you guys have waited so long, I feel like there ought to be more. No discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Prosecutor 4D 8897. Now, there was an amendment. What is this? Well, let's look at the budget. That might be the best way to do it. So the budget's up for this. Now, this is not general fund money, correct?
Correct.
It looks like you've made a few changes, but not necessarily anything significant. Training ed,
What is the
maintenance.
bonus incentive?
Where are you seeing that?
Are we at 8897?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just missing it. It's not that.
You have caseworker, deputy prosecutor, and then
Oh,
bonus.
bonus incentive. What is bonus incentive? On the 144, it looks like.
Those were approved a couple of years ago. If the office performs, there's a written policy for it, if the office performs better than the previous year in terms of collection and getting cases to court, and there's 5 different federal regulations that are looked at each year. If those increase from the previous year, the staff is given minimal bonuses. That was approved 2013.
Could you please give us a copy of that?
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions?
And as I recall, the 50, we don't distribute 50.
No.
That's just the top end of...
Yeah, just potential,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
and it was substantially less than that.
Any other questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Prosecutor deferral, 2,500. Looks like it is close, but down.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion on the floor, is there a second? Yes, there is a second.
Yes.
Sorry not hear you, Sylvia. Wait. Any discussion on this? These are deferral, user fees. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Prosecutor pretrial, 2,500.
Move. Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Domestic violence grant. Grant, what's your pleasure?
Move.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Stop. Grant. What's your pleasure?
Move. Second. Second.
2 motions and a second. Actually, 2 motions and 2 seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Drug money.
Move. Second.
A motion and a second on drug money. Any discussion? Now, is this our...
Yes.
Yeah. We're not going to have enough in the boat to do this. Is that correct?
Really?
And do longevity.
And do both payments.
Yes. So,
we
reason
left out longevity.
so I want you to put this, let's just assume that longevity, it doesn't really matter, 6 months, doesn't the other, but let's assume longevity gets paid out of casino and this gets paid out of reserve funds. So at least we can keep track of the money. Will there be enough money in there for 2 payments of longevity? Will we have that sufficient out of casino money?
Just longevity?
Yeah, just longevity.
No.
Um,
No.
All I want to know is how short are we going to be, 2 payments of longevity and this?
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
close.
All right.
Yeah.
So put this under reserve fund. You're talking to yourself, which scares me. Whenever a woman talks to herself, I know.
What you're talking about earlier is put it under that thing where we're gonna have to use hospital interest.
There's no money for it.
Seed it, there's,
So, yeah.
Put it right under sheriff's pension.
under running government off reserve section.
Motion is second on the floor. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Could I clarify, did you zero that out then?
No.
Or you, okay.
No, I'm just telling you that we can't afford drug money, and we shouldn't really want to get drug money, but we can't afford this and both longevities. I don't care, we put one longevity, put whatever we're short on our reserve funds list.
Riverboat.
Yeah, we're not gonna zero this out. We're gonna fund it. It's just a question of how we're gonna, whatever's easiest for you, Vicki, to keep track of that. Okay, I don't think we're hitting a communication. Do you get where I'm going?
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
You don't have a line item for longevity anyway, so.
And I really don't care if we say it's going to Mars and back. I just want to know how much money we're short that we got to find somewhere else. So I want you to kind of,
It's
so whatever.
about 180,
All right.
190.
Perfect. So just so we can keep track.
Pay out of longevity, that's what we're short.
So, okay.
Correct.
All right. Yeah, I just want you to keep that mental, just keep focused on that reserve funds list. Because there's only so much taters in the sack, as we say. Taters in the sack. Man, papers are gone, and I always throw this thing, it's too late, come on.
Well, French.
That's right. Forfeited property. Is that my wife? Oh, man.
Girlfriend.
What?
Not at the same time. Forfeited property.
Again, he said.
40104111. What's your pleasure on this? Motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. You sure that was my wife? She went the other way.
Sure was.
Yeah, that would explain a lot.
OWI failed drugs.
Wait a minute.
What's your pleasure on OWIs and fatal drugs? Or against it? Or against it?
Second.
I'm almost done. You came to take me to dinner, didn't you? Motion is second on the floor. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4D incentive, 8893. For a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion. You guys up to it? It's down a little bit, right? All in favor, signify by, you guys on it? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Prosecutor, 4D, PCA. We have a motion on the floor. I'll second for discussion. This is non-general fund money, it's got some increase, but I don't care. There. Anybody else care?
No.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Prosecutor deferral, 2,500.
20,500.
Well, no, actually, the line item is 2,500.
Oh, excuse me.
Where to go, there's a woman.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
We made it? We made it?
Sometime.
Dan, can I make one comment?
Yes.
I'm gonna run this up the flagpole again, but are we even going to contemplate doing anything with the sheriff's pension on a hospital principal?
We probably need to discuss that when we start talking about I think we should discuss that when we discuss our reserve funds.
I just don't want to lose sight of it, that's all.
All right. No, I think we should. I think we should. All right.
General fund right now totals about $9.4 million, and you cut zero out of the general.
Perfect.
Can we increase it?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Stacy, you glad we did it?
All right.